G'day, listeners. This episode is proudly brought to you by our sponsors, supshq.com.au. Use BWB15 at checkout to receive 15% off and direct shipping. G'day, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite piss take, banter, and educational, informative podcast, Bros Brains. I am joined by my usual co-host, Aaron. Good sir, how are you, mate?
I am good and dead, all in one.
Also, did you like that? Did you like that fucking Ian Valier hand clap? All right, guys.
Yeah, but you couldn't hear it.
Entry.
I couldn't hear. I think it started recording, actually recording just before or just after you've clapped. Damn. So you couldn't hear it. All I could see is you rubbing your hands together, and it's like,
unless it's got the noise canceller on it, so just it's ignored the clap and just recorded my voice.
I wonder, hey, you can hear that, right? Doesn't sound like clapping, does it?
No.
Hello there.
There you go.
X-ray
noise cancelling.
Bros with Brains.
Hercules. That just looks like I'm just saying that.
Yeah, anyway. It just looks like you have a special condition. People watching this.
Yeah, grab a stock hand.
People watching this on YouTube are going to be like, "What in the flying fuck is going on that podcast?"
Yeah. Ben needs to go back to uni. Too much free time.
Just same. I have no idea. We're just sitting, chilling. It's just how we roll in the hood.
That's fair. What's going on, good sir?
Not much, man. Had a good fucking leg session this morning, which is nice. Yeah. I mean, that's really it. There's not much going on. Work, train, eat, sleep. Played a bit of golf, as usual. The weather's horrible. It's pissing down rain at the moment. But got out to my favorite course at the end of last week and got to play a round, shot six over, which was nice. Again. So consistently playing under 80s, which is good. In saying that, I'm playing again on Friday with a couple of mates that play off 2 and 1. So watch what. And at a course where it kills me. So watch me shoot 25 over. Can't wait.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I can't complain. Leg sessions have been good. Change gym for a little bit. Wanted to change it up and sort of just spice up the environment. I think I've only got about 6 odd weeks left of my growth or maintenance growth phase. So I just really want to send it for sort of 6 weeks and, be really picky with my time and where I'm training and not having to sort of share equipment and just literally headphones on, get the job done. So it's been nice. And again, found a Cybex hack squat because I am a prissy bitch when it comes to my equipment selection. I am very, very snobbish, and there's not many hack squats or Cybex hack squats running around in Melbourne, especially close to where I live. So I was like, well, I found it. It's 15, 20-minute drive, done. Let's go. And no one's there and no one uses it. So it's great.
Even better.
Yeah. Can't complain.
Nice.
Yeah, put 4 plates back on and thought, we're still here. We're still good. Goal is, I don't know if I'm going to hit it, but the goal will be to go 5 plates for, I want to say, 5 plates for 10 has always been the target. I think my best is 5 plates for 6, I think. So if I can go 5 plates for 6 plus by the end of this 6 weeks, we'll see how we go. It'll be pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a big target. I don't know if I'll get there in 6 weeks, but we'll see.
Send it to me, bitch.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. We'll send it. We'll die trying. We'll pop.
That's fair.
Pop a quad. It's fine.
And neurotic of us going with train intensity.
Oh, don't be stupid. We're only about eating disorders here.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
that's what we like.
How you been? You been good,
mate? I've just looked up and seen that my grades are not coming until next week, which is annoying because I've already enlisted for my next subjects. Found out that QUT has redacted my access to sports psychology as a subject, so I've had to, even though literally the subject that the degree that I study is in the title of the fucking grade of the class. Apparently exercise scientists are more suited to sports psychology than psychologists are, so that's nice 100%. To know. Makes more sense.
We're way more qualified to deal with the brain than a psychologist is. Don't be stupid.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you not seen social media?
That is true. An exercise scientist knows all about mindset. They did a 3-day course over the weekend.
No. Exercise scientists are way more qualified to deal with the psyche of a human. you only need a Cert 3 and Cert 4. No, you don't even need that. You just need to be online
Yeah,
and have
just say
done one of
online.
those, life coaching courses, and 100%, you're good.
That's fair. That is
Yeah.
fair. Understandable too. So it's not even a university degree. Don't worry about it. Don't even make it a post grad.
Honestly, it's not even that. It depends where the moon and the stars are, and you can go in, Jupiter's in raspberry lemonade, and
Yeah.
you're now a psychologist.
Michael Jordan's entire performance career was based on whether Mercury was on anterograde, retrograde, diagnostic, fucking heterosexuality.
Yeah, we don't talk about Pluto because we don't know if that's still a planet anymore.
We're
Everyone's
indecisive yet in astrology as to whether or not that's a planet, but
100%.
We'll go with it.
Yeah.
So a little bit confused there. So I have to reach out to the faculty of both departments now to confirm that I can access the class, because it was literally up until mid-semester this year available to me to select. And then I've gone to review my selections for my electives. And the one that literally has my degree in the name is one I can't do. Like, make fucking sense.
Yeah.
So, it was only part of the reason why I signed up to QUT, but whatever. So I'll be sussing that one out and trying to get into that subject. But
transfer unis, fuck it.
Yeah, legit. Like, if I've got enough of a GPA now, where I could probably cross campuses and go somewhere else. So
100%.
if they fucking play games, just waiting to see back now. Fucking, by the looks of it, I don't even get my exam grade until review grade applications are 17th. So grade release is the 12th
of July.
The 12th of next month.
That's not too bad.
Oh no, sorry, wait, no, 7th. You get the final exam grade is released on the 7th, so next week, and then it looks like I'll get my chance to review the grade by the 12th, which is not too bad.
No. Usually, it's funny with exams; they're usually pretty good. It's just assignments. Most unis suck.
Yeah, my assignment's like 4 weeks behind date of like submission.
Yeah, it's literally, I always think like 4 to 8 weeks for assignments, and it's like usually 2 to 3 weeks with exams, because it's usually important for subject selection into the next semester.
Well, yeah, right. Like, you need to know how your grade went. Like, if I was
you need the grade to go to the next class.
Legit. If I was
doing bio 101 and I need to do bio 202, but I need to hit 80%, but I don't know if I hit 80% because I didn't get the grade.
Yeah. That's literally my question here. I'm like, what if I was waiting for this subject to go to my next subject? I can't enroll in it until I get the grade to know that I've passed. So I know I've passed. I know I've done the work to pass it, but we'll see. But yeah, it was good. It was good to kind of get that done and have a week of back into training, finish off training block. You've changed exercises right to the point where I'm fucking hungry. So like, strength progressions are very fucking minimal, but they are there.
You're welcome. Stop being a bitch. Just do them. Shut up.
Yeah, I was like, because Caleb was up. We went and trained at World Gym yesterday.
Yeah,
and I was like, incline press on the Smith machine. I was like, before this, I was doing like 50s on the incline for dumbbells for sets. And then I moved to the Smith machine, and now I'm like just getting familiar with that movement and getting into it and getting under it and
learning the skill.
And just getting the skill down, and my strength is like nowhere. And he's like, "Oh, I thought you'd be doing more than this." I was like, "Fuck's sake." God damn it. But also, fucking powerlifter comes up when I'm on an aggressive cut phase. Like, fuck off, Caleb.
I mean,
no one cares about you. Fucking
exactly. Shut up, Caleb. Go home.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think I'm getting fucking a little bit crook, so we'll see how that goes. I don't really need that right now, but I mean, if it keeps the appetite down for the remaining weeks of the cut, fine.
We could use it to our advantage.
I tried something last night. It did not work well. I was like, it's a really genius idea. I should freeze Pepsi Max and make that into like an icy pole.
You're an idiot. You're a fucking moron.
That. It froze, but I didn't release the gas on the bottle first.
Yeah, exactly. So, you're an idiot. I knew exactly where you were going.
It froze in pressure.
Yeah.
And I've got a knife to cut the top off.
And it's just
basically it exploded and just fucking shot across the room. And there was just like shards of Pepsi Max fucking everywhere. And that was pretty much my best trick so far in a cut.
It's really the ultimate shardy party, though.
Yes. I mean, I've done some dumb shit in preps, but like this one I was like, that makes perfect sense in my head. Forgetting that I'm like, I wanted like the flat Pepsi Max taste as like an icy, like a fucking just a frozen ice block to eat with a spoon. Forgetting that there was gas trapped in there, and obviously it's still carbonated. So I'm like, that didn't go too well.
And people wonder why I'm a dick. Look, this is what I deal with, and it's like he's not the only client. Like, I've got that many that are exactly the same.
But I fixed it and moved on. I just finished half the bottle.
Yeah, you finished half the bottle. It's
The,
like,
the
fuck
problem
it.
was solved. It was,
I just defrosted it and drank it. Make life
yeah,
easier.
I just turned it back into Pepsi Max and drank it.
I
It
just
is what it is.
defrosted it, put it in like a, you know what you should have done, honest. Make life 10 times easier for you. Don't even bother freezing it. You know what you do? Go get a stack of ice, go put it in a blender, go shake up the fucking Pepsi bottle so that you get rid of all the gas, pour it in the blender and mix it together. There you go. You've got a fucking frozen Slurpee. Sorted.
That's bad.
You're welcome. Yeah. See,
bad.
people, this is what I'm dealing with. This is
That's
see,
bad.
logic. Anyway, I've had
Well-
like 10 coffees today, so I'm up.
Anyway, this is why I do less thinking when I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I just get
Yeah.
in, do the work, and I mean, to be fair, I'm fucking down to what was I this morning? 99.7. Gross.
Yeah, it's skinny.
I know. Fucking under 100 now. It doesn't count. I don't even lift anymore.
I mean, I can't say much. I'm like 96.
Basically, I may as well have natty status again. I mean, all that's getting me through this is the better I
all
work
I'm running
now,
is all I'm running is TRT. I swear I'm natty.
yeah, legit. I can do ICN this week. Pretty much like my logic is the only thing getting me through this is like the leaner I get now is the more explosive I get to get and more supplementational I get to be in the next phase to enhance my growing. So 4 weeks,
We'll
5 weeks of being hungry for
We're just gonna throw you in
disgusting amounts of
WBFF.
foods.
Fuck it.
What's that?
You're ready. We'll just throw you in WBFF. You're ready. You can do the suits. Was it the
Yeah,
pageantry
gown
the
night.
first night? Gown night. We'll put you in a suit
Yeah.
and then put you in some posing trunks. You're ready to go, mate. Don't even learn how to pose. Just walk up on stage, look at people, eyeball them, show us, do a bicep, and then off you
Do
go.
some finger pistols.
Yeah, it's a figure. That's what they do in WBFF anyway. That's what it looks like for the guys. I don't know. Like, I got no idea. And then the girls, we'll just get you some angel wings because that's the thing.
I mean, I'm pretty sure ICN has an angel wing division too.
That doesn't.
Pretty
Yeah,
sure-
but they've got every division. They've got people that wear jeans.
Yeah. Yeah, that one to me is like, ugh.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's-
all for being inclusive, but that's probably a bit much.
At a certain point, that is just pageantry. Like you're just, it's a clothing pageant.
It's really just a ripoff. It's just a division to make money.
Yeah, like you've taken like a Calvin Klein runway and added points to it and gone, that,
Yeah, like
that's what we're doing.
Do these people get a modeling contract?
yeah, you don't get a pro card, you get a modeling contract.
I mean, I'm here for it. I'll jump in. I'll fucking drain my testosterone, and mate, no stress. Let's go for a modeling
I'm just
contract.
gonna dive my test for the next 6 weeks. Fuck it.
Done. Keen. Let's go.
But yeah, no. Besides that, mate, we're just trotting along, getting through this cut. It's making me, a little more hungry. But what can you do? That's the joys of literally cutting. Is 4 to 5 weeks. I mean, yeah, fuck. We're what 2.5 weeks through now, which is good. It's one of those things where you kind of just like at the start, like, oh fuck, it's gonna be so long. But realistically, by the time you're into it, like this will be the first full 10-day gap. 12 days, whatever it is we're doing, 12 days. So like, what is it? 12 and 2, we'll have refeed days next Tuesday, maybe next Tuesday. But like the weight's already, like you can see in my checking photos, like my waist literally just like, which is annoying and good. So, I mean, I was sort of describing last week. I'm like, something I want to try this time is like the simplicity of broness. I want to get back to. Like, I feel better, as much as it's always cringy to say. I feel better when I just eat more bro foods, like because usually bro foods are just you have a lot more, quality carbohydrates, quality fat sources, protein diversity, and all that sort of shit. So I'm going to look at going back to just sort of like making myself a meal plan off that, and then having like a Saturday or a Sunday where it's like, oh, you got fucking X amount of your calories. Well, if I want a burger or something, I'll go have it, and that covers my enjoyment for the week whilst tracking it. But the rest of the week is like your standard, a red meat, carbohydrates and veg, a chicken, carbohydrates and veg, oats or cream of rice, like simple shit, easy to digest, fills me up, a lot of calories, get it in, cleaner food. Go back to the bro days for a while.
That's it. Keep it simple. That's how we like it.
Turns out it's crazy. It's crazy the amount we be study and learn and overcomplicate things to eventually come back around to go, you know what seems to work the best? Simplifying the fuck out of it.
Yeah. Very,
Hey,
very
the
simple.
bros don't know what they're talking about because they take drugs, so don't listen to them because those
It's
elite
cheating.
bodybuilders that weigh 140 kilos shredded to the bone have no clue about training.
Yeah, it's cheating taking drugs. That'd be silly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the drugs that got them to that and not the way they eat or train or their intensity.
Yeah, over the many, many years of doing
But
it.
I guess there's a nice little segue into a new paper that has come out that has everyone
What?
fucking.
Are we doing the lit review first, or are we doing? Didn't we have a ranting topic we told you to put on the mirror?
Oh yeah, no, we do. You're right.
I figure we'll get that out of the way
Unnecessary
first.
couple fucking PDA in the gym.
Ah, yeah, there we go. I knew there was one.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good one. That's I don't know why. I don't know why, but I'm fucking seeing it on my Instagram and like in the gyms where I don't know if one of them is super insecure. I don't know if one of the person in the relationship is like, you know, potentially jealous of people at the gym, whatever it is, but like unnecessary amounts of PDA. So, you know, it used to be back in the day, like, you know, don't tell someone that's, you know, bisexual, different sexual, whatever, you know, don't let them do things and people get in trouble for them. Like, I don't care what you identify as or who you're with. When I'm fucking training, I don't want to see that level of like lazy intimacy in the gym. Like the gym is not a place where I go to where I want to see people socializing to the degree they're basically making out and hooking up on the gym floor because they're, I don't know, insecure, constantly need reaffirmation or affection or fucking reinforce that they are wanted or whatever the fuck it is that you're doing it for. Because no one needs that level of affection whilst you're training. If you have that desire to do that whilst training, you are not fucking training hard enough or focused on your training properly. But like to the degree where you're just like midway through a set and I'll look up and there's like couples on each other, like whilst I saw one couple the other day whilst they were doing a set, she was like kissing him whilst he was doing a set.
Yeah, nah.
I'm like, what the fuck you doing?
No,
get the fuck away from me.
No. Unless that's some funny reel being recorded, or even then,
yeah, that's even worse because I don't want to fucking see that. Like, I don't want to be in your reel, and also your reel's dumb shit. Get out of the way.
Yeah, unless that's like a joke, someone taking the piss, maybe. Like, I'll jump in on that. That'd be funny. Just be like, ooh. But yeah, no, that's fucking weird.
Yeah, I was just like, well, I was looking, I'm like, whatever. If you're this intimate at home, fantastic, good for you. I don't care how you orientate yourself. I don't care what way you identify and do things. Fucking good for you. Regardless of that, I equally don't want to see it in the fucking gym, regardless of what you do or how you identify and how you act. The fact is, like, you've got people trying to go to places like zero RAR on very intense exercises on a degree of focus that's like, you're going to kill yourself. And you got people just basically like, you see like on the TikToks and stuff where there's like couples like after they do a somewhat intense set, like looking deep in each other's eyes and kissing and being like, I'm so proud of you, baby. And you're like, shut the fuck up. Fuck off. Look, no.
If you want to train with your significant other and you want to train like a demon, like go for it. Like it's a simple high five, fist bump. Good job. Thumbs up. And then you go take care of cardio at home when you're done. I mean, shit, you don't want to do it at home, just go to the car park. Like, you know, don't blame people if they're watching, but hey, like do what you got to do. You know what I mean? Like not on the gym floor. People, come on.
It's just that simple. Like, what are you trying to prove by doing this? That you're more affectionate than other people, that this is your man, don't take him, or this is your girl, don't look at her ass. Like, I don't give a fuck about any of that.
From your observation, has it been more male, female, or female to male?
Oh, it's been female to male.
Yeah, I mean, I won't exclude male to male and female to female and those who don't identify, but we don't care about them.
But yeah, I would say that, like, don't get me wrong, the guy is equally engaging. However, I would say like the initiation,
the initial approach
is like the female coming to sort of hang off.
Yeah, right.
And like at that degree, like you're not there to train, or he's there to train, and you're like kind of I'm tagging along in the thing he's interested in. But if you're genuinely there to train, like I'm that sweaty and fucking smelly and like just uncomfortable, struggling to breathe, that's just not in my interest whilst I'm at the gym. It's a place that I have allocated my time to, where I take things to an intensity, that I'm there to train. I have a specific domain in which I execute things to a certain degree or level, that I don't want that interrupted with that level of like almost like just passive softness. Like,
are we finding that it's like younger kids almost, or is it like there's no real age discrepancy here?
I mean, like,
I don't see it when I train in the gym. Like I know that there's couples that go to the gym because, like, you know, you go to the gym often enough, you see the same people. So it's like, I know there's couples that train, but they're not to that extent.
yeah,
it's like most of them are there.
Like, I don't give a fuck if you're just that
train.
level.
Like, yeah, she goes into the leg room because obviously she's doing glute bridges, which we'll get into, and then he's in the upper body room doing bench press because it's, you know, fucking Monday, because, you know, International Bench Day. So
fair.
You know, and then, you know, they might cross paths. Hey, you good? You good? Sweet. Yeah, fist bump. Sweet. Move to the next exercise.
Yes, that's fine. I don't give a fuck about that. Like, that's that is the level.
I don't see the affectionate side of people in the gym.
Other stuff where it's like so unnecessary and awkward and weird. Like, and it's, I think, especially when you see it on socials, it's the ones that are like younger couples, but they're trying to do it for like, I don't know, whether it's like a like boss couple power move, fucking we train together and we conquer the world together and fucking whatever other crap you want to sprout while you're there. You literally do like 2-plate leg press, so shut up. And you're like basically making out after a set because that was so intense and I'm so proud of you. Just fucking train. Like, it literally isn't that difficult just to train and not carry on. Like, the gym has become everything but a place to fucking train for most people now. And it just irks me. Like, do your classes, do your like whatever, do your cardio, whatever it is you want to do, but like, it's a place to train. There's a place to get shit done and do things for that specific nature. If you're like there was one reel I saw, it was like, I think it was supposed to be like showing how your partner should talk to you at the gym or whatever the fuck it was. But basically, like, she finished a set, he was on his phone, she sat down in his arms, laying on the bench, and was like looking through the phone with him. And I'm like, either you're really insecure about what he's doing on his phone, or you're just weirdly requiring touch and confirmation whilst you're at the gym, which to me, either way, is just uncomfortable.
Yeah, that I agree with. It's just, I mean, like I said, I haven't come across personally. I've seen reels and Instagram and all that sort of stuff, obviously, but I haven't seen actual couples being affectionate to that level in the gym. It's like usually, you know, a crossing, like high five, and they might do an exercise together here and there, but it's like they're genuinely training. Like,
like I coach
they're
couples.
almost, it's like literally almost like a training. It's a training partner. It's not even, it's not even a, you know, like a boyfriend girlfriend situation. It's your training partner just so happens to be the opposite sex, and it's like, hey, like they're getting a good session in. You know what I mean? Which is,
I mean, I coach couples like several times where, and it's awesome because you'll have one person sign up and you'll see that probably like one person's going to another level of intensity when they train with me. So the other might be like, oh, you know, I want this instead, or my previous coach didn't do that, or whatever. So they end up signing up working together, but they end up building a level of intensity together, of which they're both there to train. Yeah. And there's not like this, like, I have to hang off you whilst you're training type vibe. I wouldn't encourage that. Like, go do your, and also your program is unique to you, so you wouldn't have the same program anyway.
I was going to say, you wouldn't be programming the same exercises for each other.
No, literally. So if you're lingering around that much, that you're doing the same exercise and workouts, I'd say one of you doesn't have a tailored program or a specific reason why they're doing something.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, it's funny. It's like, I think back to like the years of training, and it's like, the training partners that I've had over the last, 5-6 years, it's like I've had both male and female, and it's like I even had partners that I've trained with, and sometimes some of the best training I've actually had has been with like a female. It just so happens that it's like most females train actually harder than guys. I know the guys listening and they'll be like, what? It's like, yeah, I'm right. Like, you skip your accessories, shut the fuck up. Like, come on, don't lie to me. I've been there, I get it. But it's like, again, it's a high five post set, or it's like a good job. Nice set. Or sometimes it's kind of like, you could have done another rep.
Was that it? That's zero RAR?
Why are you being a bitch?
Legit.
Like, you don't get treated differently just because you're the opposite sex. Sorry.
Correct.
Yeah. Anyway.
But it's just one of those things that it's just an irk. It's a fucking irk. It's like, why are you doing it? Do you need to be doing this?
It's called an ick. It's the 21st century, Benjamin.
called it pisses me off. I don't know. Like, I don't give a fuck. It just irritates the shit out of me.
That's a call. Go headbutt the wall, 10 sets, 10 reps.
100%. Like, you just either take this home or deal with whatever underlying insecurity you have going on where you feel this much touch is required at a gym.
Yeah. Hey, man, I've never been the PDA type. It's just weird. Not weird. It's just more so, I feel like it's drawing attention in a sense. And it's like, I've never liked attention personally. It's like one of those things. So it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah.
And in the street is weird enough. Like doing it in a gym, like in a confined space.
Yeah. It's the equivalent to me of like couples that walk down the street like this whilst they're fucking, you know, hands wrapped around each other, leaning into each other, basically like forming one mutual person whilst they're walking. It's the gym equivalent of that to me.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
It's like the episode of How I Met Your Mother where Lily and Marshall start to fuse into one person for Ted. It's that equivalent to me in the gym. That's what it starts to look like.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I might try and keep an eye out on it a little bit more, but I haven't noticed it. You know what I mean? It hasn't been so, even if it's been occurring, it hasn't been to a point where it's caught my attention where I'm like, like really?
Well, the biggest irk was like at first it was because I was seeing couples deliberately record it and trying to like talk about it on their reels or whatever on the like socials to make it look more important or like, you know, make a big statement about how much of a power couple they are. So I was like, that's fucking annoying as it is. But then I actually started seeing it at the gym, and like one of them was literally in the direction of me facing the cable to do tricep extensions. And I was like, this dude's training and you are kissing him whilst he's mid-set.
Yeah, that's...
And then like after the set and then between the set. And I'm like, bruh, what the fuck?
Surely new couple, like honeymoon period, surely.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Either that or either he is so insecure that he constantly needs to have her touch him, or she's that insecure at a gym that she needs to constantly touch him to mark territory.
I mean, would you as a guy be like, I need you to constantly be touching me while I train?
No.
Nah, you know, it's the last thing I want. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, it's just the zone of like a degree of intensity where like affection to me would bring the intensity down. So why would I want to interrupt this?
Well, also it's kind of like, I mean, not necessarily affection, but depending on the touching, I'm probably going to get more aroused and be like, fuck it, let's go home. Like, shit, fuck. Cardio, we'll come back later. Fuck it, send it. Cardio, get a meal in, get some more pre-workout in.
Grab when you're doing a hack squat.
Well, I mean, really, when you think about it, like depending on the degree of touching, like for fuck's sake.
Why can't I get a pump in my quads while the blood's going somewhere else?
Yeah, my point. Like, especially, you know, you've dropped your 3 scoops of pre-workout. You've had your double shot coffee with it, and you're like, fuck it, cardio. May as well make the most of it.
That's fair. Vasodilation in full effect.
Well, yeah, like fuck it, send it, have a nap, get a meal in, and go back and try again, and just make sure you leave her at home.
But yeah, that's my annoyance for the week.
Yeah, I want to keep an eye out for it, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. No, my luck.
But I mean, now we can move on to a fun point. Get Scaff worked up as well.
Look, so there was a study that came out. I mean, it actually hasn't gone through peer review yet, as far as I know. So it's still got a few stages to go through, but the initial paper's come out, and it's talking about the glute bridge versus the back squat for hypertrophy outcomes, basically. So it's like literally the purpose was how set volume equated resistance training using either the back squat or the hip thrust affected hypertrophy in various strength outcomes. Now, hypertrophy and strength outcomes is like the first thing. They're two different things. Like you need to be, right? Yeah, well, you need to be strong to to gain muscle. It's like you can't gain muscle without becoming stronger. So it's like they do work together, but they also are independent of each other, as that you can grow tissue without having a focus necessarily on strength, but you can also become stronger and not necessarily have a focus on growing tissue, i.e. powerlifting, for example, right?
Yes.
Like neural priming and all that sort of stuff. So it's a little bit different. So even, you know, the purpose of the study, I was sort of sitting there, but I'm like, you know what, have it. But what they did was they used untrained people. So they had, so they had 2 groups. They had like 16 in one, 18 in the other, right? 16 in squats, 18 in hip thrusts. And I'm like, okay, cool. Untrained like step one is a problem
Yep.
because to do a squat is a skill.
Mhm.
I mean, they're all skills, right? A hip thrust and a squat are both skills.
Absolutely.
The skill of a squat requires way more time and way more hours
It's way more complex.
than a hip thrust does, right? That in itself is a limiting factor in
Absolutely.
your ability to grow tissue from that movement because you have to learn the skill. And it's literally why when we do programming, we program for like 16 and 20 weeks at a time because we know 4 to 6 weeks for intermediate to even advanced lifters it can take you time to learn the skill and get the neural drive ready for the skill before you start actually progressing in actual weight on a bar. So, issue number one for me, I'm like, okay, well, this is from there. I'm kind of like, hey, this study is going to be the biggest load of bullshit I've ever seen. But anyway, the thing is they used EMG to track. So they use surface EMG. So for those that don't know, surface EMGs are literally, they just put electrodes on muscles. And then basically they do a series of testing or a battery of testing. So they get you to do static holds to get you to light up the muscle basically, and they can see it. There's a problem. We have this thing called human error. How many times have you taken girth measurements and nothing's changed? And then all of a sudden you take it or someone else takes it and there's a difference. Placement of said electrodes plays a part. They did have like stock standard measurements in place, like 2 centimeters distal to the femur for, blah, 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 and all this sort of stuff, right? Which, fine. Again, human error. Also slippage. There's this thing with sticky things. It slips when it sweats, especially with electrodes. I don't know if anyone's ever been hooked up with electrodes. I have. Start sweating, have hair, all that sort of stuff. Like, it affects the actual electrode itself. Again, these are really minute details, but in a study, these kind of make a difference. The other thing is that what a lot of people don't probably know about EMGs is that there's a lot of cross-sectional interference. So it's like they're measuring like the glute medius, for example, but as soon as the glute min or the glute max comes in, it actually can interfere with the signal and actually like make it light up or not light up as much depending because it's taking more load. So it's not as accurate as most people would think. It's probably the most accurate thing we can use, but it's not as accurate as probably what people would want it to be.
Yeah.
So it's like we've already, we haven't even got to like the sets and reps yet, and we're already like, okay, well, what's going on here? Like there is something just amiss when it comes to this stuff, right? The other thing that we look at with the study is it's funded by both Menno and Brett.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, as much as I don't want to, that they have no other input on the study. So it's been declared that they had no input. They simply funded the study.
Yeah.
Okay. Just throwing it out there. But for the hip thrust, they used Brett Contreras' hip thrust machine at his gym. Just throwing it out there. I'm not saying it's good or bad. Just as to standardize the movement, that's what they used at his gym. Okay. My question would be, why would the guy who claims to be the glute king fund a study to show that glutes grow just as well in the squat and the hip thrust, but he had no bearing on it other than giving them money? I'm pretty actually, I got a feeling he may have been involved in the study design. Actually, now that I think about it, I got to check that. But actually, I think him and Menno both were in the study design. Now that I think about it, coming up with the methods and all that sort of shit, right? So they did some pre-intervention testing. This is interesting because they did 2 tests. So they tested both groups. They both made them do fasted and fueled, basically. I don't understand why they made them do fasted testing if the goal wasn't necessarily body comp. They were trying to test muscle and muscle gain. I'm not sure as to why they would do fasted.
Was fasted to be the control, or they just made them fasted?
Made them fasted and then again made them come in after food. I didn't see the protocol they came in 48 hours later to do it again. So it's like, even then the baseline is a bit funny, but again, that's not necessarily the biggest thing. I just found it really odd. I'm like, why are you doing it 48 hours apart? Why not just a week apart?
Yeah.
Like why such a specific timeline of 48 hours? But whatever, I'll let that go. They used the bioelectrical impedance machine to measure body fat and to measure like their initial state. And I don't know if anyone knows how shit bioelectrical impedance machines are.
Like, yeah, fucking
In body.
oh,
The equivalent of, obviously this is like a
Yeah.
uni lab one, like it's actually a
Yeah.
Queensland based one, funnily enough. Again, it's still statistically shit. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it's still a 9 to 11% like rate of like missing the target. So
Mhm.
anyway, they did a whole stack of testing. I won't even get into the testing. They did static holds and shit to light up the EMGs and shit. I'm like, okay, whatever. Now, so they did 3 exercises, right? They did the squat, the hip thrust, and they did a deadlift for testing. They wanted to see if the strength gains from the squat versus hip thrust carried over also to the deadlift.
To the deadlift, yeah.
Yeah. This is what was interesting. They standardized for everybody their stance for deadlifts. They standardized like their entire mechanics, right? So all 3 exercises were performed with feet spaced 1 to 1.5 times shoulder width apart. Okay. So for the barbell squat, depth was set to when the femur was parallel to the floor. 90 degrees. Yet we have evidence that shows muscles grow at greater lengths or at longer lengths, which would imply that 90 degrees isn't full hip flexion.
No, not at all.
Funny that. So it's like, hold on. We can squat past 90 degrees. Why are we not going past 90 degrees? The argument to that was, well, the glutes didn't show that much activity past 90 degrees. It's not true. We've got more studies to show that it does than it doesn't. So it's like, okay, hold on. Why is this at 90 degrees? If they
what's
go
the
further
determining
than
factor
90
there to decide that cutoff is what's considered the rep?
It's a study design. Okay. 90 degrees, right? And then to that, depth was set to parallel to the floor with all but one participant achieving a depth at or below this point. So then that makes me question, how good are these guys at observing these people and coaching these people to squat? Are they not able to get them to squat past 90 degrees?
Yeah, is this a taught stoppage, or is this just they don't know how to coach them
Well,
to pass that movement?
Well, this goes to show how much of a skill it is to learn how to squat.
Yeah.
If these guys, PhD qualified fucking people, can't teach newbies how to squat, in what world are they going to be able to recruit muscle to grow said fucking muscle?
Yeah, that's taking a lot of assumption onto those individuals.
Right? And I was sitting there like, anyway, they also, when putting on the EMG things, they actually considered the lower glutes, the lower gluteus maximus as middle glute. Why? Like, I don't understand why.
What? How?
Yeah, so they used a protocol that was from a different study. Like Fujisawa and colleagues have a study where they show where they put the electrodes and stuff like that. And then they said, albeit that study, they made the lower glute middle. So when they put the electrode on the lower glute, they considered the data into the middle glute. Really?
What?
So you've created a study that probably favors, it would appear, the glute or the hip thrust. Is that, it's a bias? It looks quite biased to me that the people that have created the study on the study design itself would be more biased to the hip thrust. It's like, hey, this is what we wanted to prove, or this is what this was meaning to prove. Now, again, we can get into the sets and reps and all that sort of stuff, but I'll be here for another 3 hours, so we won't worry about that shit. Like, they did 10 RMs, and it's like, some people finish short, some people finish longer. Like, some people did 12 reps. It's like, it's clearly not a 10 RM, but anyway, we won't get into that. It's really just even as simple as that. Obviously, there's way more in there that I can go through, and it's like, there's no point. I think that's more than enough to show, hold on, like, why is this study being, thrown around? And the two arguments are, like, it shows that muscles, or the glutes at least, don't grow any more efficiently at longer length than they do at shortened, because obviously they say the squat is the longer length of the glute, and then obviously the hip thrust is the shortened version, or the shorter contraction of the glute.
Mm-hmm.
However, hip flexion goes past 90 degrees.
Uh-huh.
So the glutes aren't fully lengthened. Therefore, that becomes a really moot point.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't see how that can be argued. Like, the other thing with the study is, like any study, and anyone who knows research, it's one study. It's the
Yeah.
first study. Replicate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Replicate it, because the
What's the
study isn't
reliability of
viable.
this?
Yeah, it's not viable unless it can be replicated, and
Yep.
replicated with success.
Yep.
So let's see if another study comes out. Again, the protocol, 9 weeks, they did 2 sessions a week. So they did 3 sets twice a week. 6 sets. They did 17 sessions. Sure. So even though we've been told that, 8 to 10 sets is probably the requirement for growth, according to the research, these guys did 6 sets.
So they're not,
2
they're
on minimum
barely
blow-up.
hitting.
Yeah.
They're barely hitting a degree of like maintenance volume to a muscle group they're trying to stimulate recruitment and growth to.
That's what's coming across, because they obviously didn't do any other exercises either. So it's like they were told that they can't train outside of the sessions they're doing for that 9 weeks, which is fine because that's how you control the study. Oh,
Yeah, for sure. Like that.
The beauty of it as well, I love this. They gave them a protein to have a scoop a day, just so that they were hoping that they hit their protein targets. Otherwise, they didn't control for food at all. They didn't control for their nutrition. They gave them a bag of protein and said, "Here, take a scoop a day." So this is the problem. I don't mind research, and hey, it still could be, if it's replicated and it's shown that glutes grow at the same rates, shortened and lengthened. Sweet, cool, makes life really easy. The hip thrust is easy to teach, and if you enjoy hip thrusting, go for it. If you're going to try and claim that squats aren't as beneficial or are less beneficial than hip thrust, well, this also shows that they grow at basically the same rates.
And also
so
squat fucking full range.
Yeah, so that this is all. Well, I mean, we can do it at 9 because we've got the research. We've got this one study that says, "Hey, at 90
degrees anymore. Fuck it."
Yeah. So everyone's going to be reading it like, "Fuck it. If I want to go glutes, I'm going to half squat." It's like, no, still go to at least 90, if not below. But it's like, this is one study, and it's been backed by a person who's the glute guy.
Yeah.
And again, who I'm pretty sure, I've got to confirm, but I'm pretty sure was involved in the study design. And the study design would probably show a little bit of bias in that, why would you pick newbies when we know newbies are going to grow anyway?
Yeah, legit. An added stimulus to anything is going to make it grow.
It's genuinely like the study where they gave the newbies testosterone. They did nothing, and they added like 4 kilos of tissue. It's like they did 0 for 12 weeks and put 4 kilos of muscle on. Like, yeah, because they're fucking new. There's no stimulus there.
Yep.
You want a well-balanced fucking program? Do both. Simple.
That's the thing. Like, it's these weird dichotomies that come out with these studies like this, and people don't really understand what they're reading or looking at with the research, right? Like, you end up with these people being like, "Oh, this means I can just do the hip thrust to get the same benefit as the squat," or hip thrusts are terrible, I just squat now, I get the same response. But if we're looking at the total program design and load allocation, why would I not then? Because I'm not going to have a client do 20 sets a week of squats, because that fatigue ratio would be way too fucking high for them to maintain the same level of intensity output, right? So the risk of injury, the risk of early fatigue, the risk of just requiring deloads faster, just not getting adequate stimulus because they just fatigue too quickly. I would take some sets, complexity. I would look at the squat patterns and go, I want you to do a squat at full range of motion anyway. So we're going to add that. Now, I'm not going to have you do 20 sets of that. I also want to isolate some more of the glute. So we'll do the rest of your quad-based patterns as leg extensions, leg press, some lunges or Bulgarians, different variations at length and short positions of the quad. Then I add in hip thrusts because I want to add more glute volume without as much stimulus or fatigue, as a squat in your program. So we're still getting both benefits of both exercises, just with less fatigue across the program. It's almost like you're considering the program design, not just whether one exercise is better than the other. It's the same person that will ask, like, is X diet better for fat loss than this? Or is X diet better for muscle growth? It's not a dichotomy. It's understanding where you are as a client, what our goals are, what your biomarkers are, and can you handle the load distribution? Because giving you 20 sets of squats doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And it's like, well, there's people where like they just don't want to squat. So it's like, don't give a squat to grow the glutes. Fair. That's totally fair. I can understand. I understand that. I don't barbell squat anymore because I have no reason to. I hack squat. I'll pendulum squat. I'll fucking Smith machine squat. Like I don't care. I just enjoy like this squat pattern. I just don't want to barbell squat. By all means, no stress. Don't say that the glute bridge builds more glute muscle or the hip thrust builds more tissue in your butt cheeks than the squat does, because, well, this one research paper would suggest that they're both the same. Again, however, the caveat is we didn't take the hip through its full range of motion. We did not take the pelvis through its full range of motion. Yeah, we did not have the glutes fully lengthened. So it's like, okay, if we've got this research that suggests that the fully lengthened position of a muscle is where most force is produced, and then if that's the case, if more force is produced, it's where we can exert most force, and in theory, where we grow most tissue. That's where we have most muscle damage, most muscle repair, right? Like if that's the logical case, well, we haven't taken them through its full range. So to me, that study is inept. It's like, see you later. This means nothing to me right now at this point in time. Once it's gone through its peer review, maybe we'll have a different scenario. I don't know. Maybe if it's replicated, we'll see. But again, a study that's financially backed by the glute guy, yeah, I don't know. I want to.
And this is where,
yeah,
like this is where it's important to understand why being evidence-based or understanding evidence and research anecdotally understanding research analysis as a thing is so important, right? Like these guys have an appeal to authority. They're both PhD candidates. So you instantly just go, holy shit, this paper just came out and it just disproves that, I don't need to squat, or I don't need to hip thrust, or I can just pick all my load through one movement to target the glutes, or whatever it is you want to say out of this conclusion of the study, which I don't even know why most people are looking at it that way. But you're failing to look at all the limitations and the restrictions that come into the creation of this research before you even get to the conclusion. So are you someone that's a newbie that hasn't trained ever? No. Okay, then you're probably not in this population sample. Do you control your protein intake and your dietary limitations? Yes. Okay, you have a pretty decent control on your nutrition. Again, that wasn't controlled for in the study. Do you train your squat to full range of motion and get actual sub-parallel, if not arse to grass? Yeah, I go pretty ham on it. Okay, cool. So again, we're looking at all these limitations here and going, this isn't you then. So if you're looking at this and going, nah, I don't need to do that anymore, or sorry, this guy just disproved everyone who believed that the glute did this or the hip thrust did this. Well, it didn't. It just showed in a controlled fashion to a degree, the way they set it up, that this was the outcome with a slight bias towards the hip thrust probably being better. But most people that work with us end up being coached on how to squat at full range of motion with a greater degree of depth. So why are we going to focus on whether or not the squat or the hip thrust is better? Knowing between you and me, you've probably got both in your program at some point.
Yeah, and it's a funny one because it's like, I don't usually share the opinion of like people, especially against the big groupies, like, the Menos and all those fucking spastics. But there are those that go against the grain and like to question everything, whereas it's sort of where my brain goes, like a Lyle McDonald. Like that's where I'm sitting there like, oh, okay, like, and I haven't seen anything from him yet, so that'd be interesting because I feel like he's going to kill everyone. But there's a guy, PhD researcher, his name's Chester Soko in the US. He's actually a really, really smart, intelligent person when it comes to hypertrophy. And he goes like toe to toe with everyone, and it's hilarious to see because everyone just starts blocking him.
I love that.
And it's like him and Paul Carter like go fucking toe to toe. It's actually really funny. And Paul's a really smart dude. I actually listen to him and Chris Beasley's podcast like religiously because it's an interesting take. And it's, people's interpretation of data where, again, it's always people are the problem. Like the data's there, yet people interpret it in their own fashion. So the other factor that we didn't consider, that I don't think was considered, is how much actual muscle damage is caused in each exercise, especially in a newbie. So we know that newbies are going to have more muscle damage because it's a new fucking stimulus. We know that squats over hip thrusts are going to create more damage because, well, guess what? It's a bigger fucking compound movement. There's more muscles at play. You're going to create more damage. How that is going to affect your next session and then your ability to recruit and then adapt has to be taken into account. And it's probably not. So it's like everything in this study screams that it's biased towards the hip thrust. It's genuinely biased. From the study design all the way through, it's biased to favor the hip thrust in that sure, it builds glutes as much as it does the squat. But it's like, well, let's see a study where it's not newbies for starters. Let's see intermediate trainees where they've already learned how to squat. Use powerlifters, use bodybuilders that squat regularly. Like, let's see that study, because that means the skill acquisition point of view is taken away.
Yes.
Okay, now let's see what happens. Yeah, now let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you get newbies, you make them do a pre 12, 16 weeks of squatting and hip thrusting to learn. Then you bring them in and say, okay, we're going to test you now. Like that's where that needs to probably go more so than anything.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, hey, research.
Yes. Yeah. Just fucking eat the food, get jacked, and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, like, but to me, it just becomes like, why are you like, especially people like rushing to this conclusion or rushing to this paper? Like, just why are you looking for a? Firstly, are you doing a squat to grow your glutes, or are you hip thrusting to grow your glutes? If you're just squatting to grow your glutes, are you not squatting to do other mechanical advantages as well, like biasing the quads or trying to grow your quads, or trying to grow your legs in general? Why are you looking at the squat and going, this is just about hip thrusts, just about glute development? I don't know anyone that started squatting just to go, I'm just doing this to grow my glutes and nothing else. Because in that instance, like, surely you would go, okay, hip thrust, RDL, 45 extension, like, you would do those things.
Yeah, it's funny. We know that most people would squat probably to grow their quads anyway, and we saw significant growth in the quads in the results. Quads grew, hamstrings were negligible in both. So
yeah,
hamstrings, like, people think that your hamstrings grow in a squat. Shut up. People think that they grow in a hip thrust. No, they don't at all. I mean, like, the smallest of margins.
It's not why you program it at all.
Literally statistically non-significant. So don't even think that they grow there. But again, people were like, oh, short versus long, which one's better? Like, well, you haven't taken the glutes through its lengthened position in the squat. And that's all I'm asking for.
Okay.
Anyway, questions?
Yeah, just questions.
Otherwise, I'll be here ranting all fucking day. This is the one that I was saying. Not a question, but an event. Back tattoo equals loss of visible definition. I mean, yeah, but I saw the back tat, and the back tat was fucking sick. I would gladly throw away the definition aspect for the actual design that the person got. Like, it looks pretty fucking epic, to be honest. But yeah, that's always my thing with people competing in bodybuilding. It's like, how are you fully tattooed and still getting really good results? Like,
yeah.
But I won't get into that conversation. It's just an opinion. It's nothing more. I have nothing against anybody. It's just an objective thing where it's like, we're told that, we need to visually see everything, and yet you're covered in ink. Makes no sense.
Yes, but especially the ones once the tan is applied, where it starts just like a mud. It's like a matte paint style on your car.
Yeah, and it's like, people that have like full sleeves, for example, and it's like, cool, you're doing like, a side chest. And it's like, well, I can't see your bicep, bro. Well, you mad tattoo, it looks sick, but I can't see anything bar like your pec and maybe your hamstring and your quad and your calf.
Yep.
I can't see the bicep, the delt.
Yeah, when it comes to bodybuilding, like, it's not that tattoos, like, it's impossible. I'd say just be selective on how much detail and the depth and complexity of like everything shading and whatnot, because once you add tan on top of it, oof.
Yeah, well, it's also like the pros that have tattoos. Most of them, they have like little ones on the forearm that you can't see, back of the neck, hands. It's like, no one cares about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people even have them on their calves because, like, no one cares about the calf. Like,
yeah.
But you don't see anything on the, like, big pieces on the quads, on the back, the chest, like the arms. The money makers.
Exactly. Okay. Can only pick one Pokemon to go into battle with for the rest of time. Who you got?
Mew.
Yeah.
Case closed. Next.
Go on God, bro. Like, yeah. There's a certain point in time now where, like, Pokemon, they've expanded the story, and it's getting to literally gods, like Pokemon gods, and the creations of the universe. And it's like, oh, this Pokemon has control over time. Like, bro, you're getting fucking ridiculous now. You pick a Mew or you pick a Charizard.
I haven't seen the new Pokemon since Blue. Was it Blue, Red, and Gold?
Yeah,
Blue, red, and yellow. That's it. After that, I have no idea.
yeah. You're picking Mew, but I mean, like Platinum had some pretty cool ones. Rayquaza and Arcanus. No, fuck, not Arcanus. The blue whale looking thing. Oh, fuck, I forget his
Yeah,
name.
I grew out of Pokemon after
Yeah,
that, man. That's way before my time. Oh, way
but
after my time.
yeah, pretty much like you got like you go on Mew or Mewtwo. Like, don't be silly. Like,
Yeah,
it's a
100%.
talking god level Pokemon.
Yeah, it's like
Or at
it's what.
worst, you're picking like one of the Dragon Elite, like Charizard or
Yeah.
Dragonite, because they're fucking cool as shit.
Does anabolic use make you less empathetic, emotional, or is that a myth?
It's as much of a myth as there is any truth to it. The
Yeah, right.
the the ironic thing was when we look at Robert Sapolsky's behavior study, book. There is a period in which he conducts research using the betting game and using there's another social theory game that he uses. But basically, what they did was gave people what they thought like basically like placeboed it, and some people got legitimate testosterone. But what they found in testosterone induced or androgen induced males, the preconceived notion was that emotions become more enhanced, violence becomes more amplified, aggression is increased, and all that sort of jazz, and you start to get like a colder emotional response. You basically get like a more shitty human. What happened was they actually found males became more pro-social. What's the word? They became more pro-social versus antisocial in giving and in generosity. So in the betting game, basically it was like if basically the way the game kind of went was you both get to pick between money. You both put a bet down. If you, I think it's like you have 100% to choose from, and it's like you choose 60, they choose 40. If the person disagrees, neither gets any. If both of you agree, you get the exact amount. You kind of differentiate the percentage. The people who are taking testosterone or the testosterone replacements or supplementation or even the placebo, they were finding that the men who were taking it were more likely to accept less and donate or give more and be understanding or empathetic of giving more than those who weren't. So the idea used to be that like, you have your roid rage and trend rage and everyone's a dick on this and you take these drugs and you're shitty. It's not quite that simple. So it can actually be found to be that some people are actually a lot more empathetic or understanding, but we then have to look at psychosocial, environmental factors, economic factors that go into someone using it. What are they like as a person before they start? Are they mentally sound? Are they well? Do we already have a non-linear relationship in the sense that were they emotional before they took it, or they took it and became emotional? The likelihood is if it's someone that's concerned with their appearance, there's a bit of degree of neuroticism to it, to the degree they're taking testosterone. So we have to consider the fact they may potentially already have had emotional negligences in their personality, in their neuroticism, and that's been amplified by testosterone or supplementation. So yeah, I don't think it's as straightforward as people think. It's like, I took gear and now I'm a dick, or this guy took gear and it's the reason why I'm leaving him.
It's like roid rage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
fun times.
It just becomes a crux that people get to use to escape, like to put someone down. Like, oh, this guy's now a dick because he was using. Well, what was your behavior to make that person a dick? Like,
Yeah,
just because someone's on doesn't excuse you being a shit person to them, and then you get to blame gear for that.
yeah, exactly right. It doesn't give you the right to also then provoke.
Oh, how do you step out predicted mental support cues for your clients during a prep? Look, I think it's a line of research that's probably going to come next, but it's needed. It's something that we've thought about or talked about, where at a certain point is where anecdote starts to become phenomenon. Phenomenon has to become qualitative research, and qualitative research has to start producing data. Is that each person is going to experience prep very differently. However, there's kind of checkpoints in which things start to occur pretty commonly, and you almost get frequency of that across different people. And like all of a sudden you start seeing trends like, cool, this where some qualitative research would be helpful, in that you're going to notice at certain points, like, I think probably the last 6 to 8 weeks, comparison really comes in. You start seeing like people looking at other people's Instagrams who might be competing, or looking at their condition versus where am I, or how am I going to stack up? All those little things that you can't predict it, but you have the tools ready for someone when they do. But it's not something you can like systemize out. Like at a certain point, like we've talked about, people are people and they're not robots. So you can't really, you can systemize the expectation, like, hey, you will be hungry, you will be emotional, you'll be, emotionally inept, you will be dysregulated, you'll be more erratic, you'll be, food focused, you'll be training obsessed, you'll be period like a time restricted, so you'll be time focused. All these things that make the prep more like effective are the things you're going to focus on. So, suddenly one of those things is off, you're going to be frustrated, you're going to be emotional, you've got to control that, all those things. We know that stuff's going to happen. So you can kind of predict it and say, look, this is what the stuff you should expect and how you should predict it. Set the boundaries with friends and family, make sure you've had the tough conversations, lay the law down, lay the situation down, lay the limitations down. Once that stuff is taken care of, the rest becomes individual, and it's hard to really systemize how to map out. It's just based on, some people are genuinely sociopathic, borderline apathetic or amotivated in the sense of emotion. So they might not show emotion. So you don't need to cue them through those things. But also I'd encourage that person to get help, because you probably should still be some degree of emotional. But then there's the people who will need very specific coaching cues, comparison cues, conversations around how to handle certain input, like we talked about last week. How to change your perception on hunger, how to change your perception on the finish line, on looking at the bigger picture, obsessing with the end date versus the process, like all that shit. So at a certain point, it just becomes unique to the individual versus having a system in place.
Yeah, fair.
What do you think is the next phase of critical research we'll see in sports and athletes? Just give them all drugs and study the drugs. Stop pretending we don't.
I wish they'd have more studies where they could be like, hey guys, you want to take drugs and see what happens? Yes.
Yes.
But
yes,
no, that won't happen. So it'd probably be some fucking nuanced.
I wish we had
study on some
identified
bullshit.
drugs so much earlier. So during the phase of like the Stanford prison experiment, the Asher conformity experiment, all the stuff that ethically back in like psychology that got really questioned, we would have that lack of ethics back then as well for drug testing. So we'd be like, oh, you want to see what happens when you run a gram of Tren? Let's do it.
Yeah, but let's do it with psychoactive drugs and just make it interesting.
Yes, also that.
I'm here for that.
Nerd prediction. Next 10-year phase for Marvel, or too many politics to tell? I mean, we're seeing what they're trying to do. And I think they've realized how much they fucked up, because they've pulled a lot of the movies back in timelines, and they're like, redacting a lot of shit where it's like, we need another 6 months, 12 months. This has got to wait 2 years.
So, yeah, the other thing with the time is because of the writer's block or whatever that thing that's going on. I can't remember what it's called. But like, I don't fully understand it. What they can't friggin' be themselves, like that they're not allowed to read off script or some bullshit. Like, I don't know how that affects the writers being paid, but
yeah,
sure, whatever. So it's like they're saying like Deadpool, like Ryan Reynolds just can't basically say whatever's in his brain at the time, and if it works, it works. And it's kind of like, well, I can't remember what's that called. There is a term for it. I just can't think of it off the top of my head.
Like when the actor's reading off script.
Yeah, freelance, not
improvising.
Freelance. Improvising, improv. There you go. That's the one. So when they do that, it's like, well, why not? If it makes the movie better, it's like the writers are
like half the essence of most actors.
Yeah, it's like the writers are getting offended that like their scripts aren't being read.
Shut the fuck up.
Like, bruh, like you're getting paid either way, and your script is still in there. Like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Yeah.
So that's created delays, but if anything, it did me a favor because I love Deadpool and it pushed it forward 6 months. So it's great.
Yeah.
Just hopefully it's still as good.
The issue lies in the fucking head of movie development for Marvel, when she basically said there was not enough content to tell some of these stories. And that's how you know someone hasn't actually given a shit about the content.
Isn't genuinely a Marvel nerd, like really.
Exactly. Which is why, what's his name? John Favreau? What the fuck was his name?
Yeah.
John Favreau.
Favreau? Yeah.
Yeah, Favreau. And
I know you're talking about.
And Kevin Feige, however they say it. they're the ones who need to be in charge of the direction because they're the ones that have an actual intent of what the movie should look like or the content should flow with, the storylines that should be told. I mean, if they tell Kang the Conqueror and Secret Invasion or Secret Wars properly, they are some unreal stories to tell. There's some absolutely sick cross several dimensions, timelines, universes, multiverses. Like, there's some awesome shit.
Yeah.
But the question is female ex-CEO, director of movie operations, going to force too many of the required opinions into those stories and ruin them? Or are they going to get their, like the Johns and the Kevins going to get the proper way and actually direct it the way they want to produce good sequential movie storytelling?
The people will actually enjoy it, not see a hidden agenda in.
Legitimately.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, honestly, it's like, that's why Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse is like the fucking best superhero movies to date.
yes.
And
Correct.
it's like, people that don't know, like, go check Rotten Tomatoes. It's like 1 and 3 in the like best in like superhero movies that have ever been released. It's number 1 and number 3. 2 cartoon Spider-Man movies, and they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
True story. Sad.
Yes, it is. But I don't know. What do we do? I mean, yeah, at a certain point, like there's some points of the stuff recently where I've just literally phased out. Like the way that they absolutely bumbled and fumbled and stumbled and fucking every other umbled word, Adam Warlock, and basically just nerfed the fuck out of him.
Yeah, they really butchered him.
You can kind of see, and an interesting point I saw the other day was ever since the success of like the Guardians of the Galaxies type storytelling, Marvel's moved towards all of their stories being that more funny, gimmicky sort of like that style of story to tell. But that isn't every story to tell. Like,
no, exactly right. Not every character is that way.
Exactly. Your Thor and what's his name, Gore. Gore is not someone you make a light story joke between. That story is one of the most brutal, dark villains you could possibly have. Murders every god in the universe violently, but to be politically woke and humorous, they've added humor to a movie about a guy whose family was murdered in front of him and let down by his god, so he kills everyone. Yeah. That's not a funny story. That's a really serious, like, that arc in Marvel is one of the best graphic novels you'll read.
Yeah, well, it's like we've got the arcs of like Blade and all that as well. Like, there's some dark shit that comes out, and I got a feeling they're just going to butcher it. But we'll find out.
Yeah, that's my concern, is that, like, based on previous works on stuff that should be a lot more serious, they've just effed it up.
Literally go back to phase 1.
Yeah.
Whatever they did in phase 1, get everyone that was employed in phase 1 and do that again.
Yep. Literally just repeat that. It's like,
yeah, it worked.
The true trilogy, you look at a true trilogy that killed it. First Avenger, Winter Soldier, Civil War.
Yeah.
3 perfect Marvel movies. Could not make them better with the character list they had at the time. Perfection. Iron Man 2, really good. Iron Man 1, very good. Iron Man 3, terrible.
Yeah, agreed.
Whatever the fuck they did with Iron Man 3 and AIM and that whole thing was terrible. So just don't repeat that. But that Captain America in that phase 1 and phase 2, fucking phenomenal.
Well, the Captain America movies, they're all pretty decent.
Yeah, they're really fucking good.
They worked. So it's like, just whoever was in phase 1, employ all those people again. Give them pay rises. Yep. Do it.
Legit. I'd be fine with that. But yeah, I think there's like this current phase of like a light-hearted, humorous sort of like storytelling, like they tried to do with they did in Ant-Man, the Quantumania. They did it in Thor 4. There's kind of bits of it in all across the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's just it's not needed. But I just finished watching Secret Invasion for that one episode on Disney. Fucking unreal. Good shit. Good, fun. Very good. Like, you're actually telling this proper story of the Skrull invasion and how they replicate and take over humanity. Fantastic. Just repeat that. Just keep on that trend of accuracy. It's almost like if you just take the content in the source material and turn it into a movie, we're happy. You don't need to add your little fluff piece. You don't need to add your own individual writer's bit to it and have your spin. Just write it as it is in a live action movie, and we're sorted.
Agreed. I concur, good sir.
That is all the questions I got.
Well, I feel like that was a semi-longer podcast, maybe. Maybe just felt that way. We'll find out.
Yeah. Probably turned out to be like half an hour.
Yeah. But as always, guys and girls, have a great weekend. Enjoy.
Enjoy.
Any questions, concerns? Message Ben. because he's hungry and he needs attention.
I don't need attention, trust me. I'm good. I got plenty of work to do.
Goodbye, people.
See you guys.